Now we're live. All right. Hey guys, welcome back. It is the third episode of a conversation with Kely, and as usual, just like every single week, we will be discussing everything that happened on this week of Big Brother Canada. It was a pretty eventful week, I must say. There was a lot of stuff that went down here. There's a lot that we really do need to discuss, but before we do, I am going to, give you a chance to say, I'm always here with my co-host and things like that. Oh, you have nothing to say. Okay.
Oh. Sorry. I thought you were talking about someone else.
No, I was talking about you, and then we're going to introduce our guest. That's what we usually do. But anyway, I guess she doesn't have anything to say.
Well, I'm just excited to do another podcast episode.
yes, very excited for sure. But anyway, I'm gonna redeem ourselves from that very awkward intro and just introduce our guest here. He's been on a lot of Big Brother related things, Big Brother Canada related things lately, and now he is on this one as well. Here he is. He's also a good friend of ours. Here he is, Sean Dairo.
Hey everyone, I'm Sean. Hey y'all, I'm Sean. I'm that Pinoy kid on 3 social medias: Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I am that Pinoy kid on Twitch. Okay, let's move forward because that's just getting awkward, and let's not make this introduction very more awkward than it is.
You are correct. It is definitely pretty awkward, but regardless, we're very happy to have you, Sean. Sean has been on my channel before. He was here, I think, for like the first week of like Big Brother 22. I think you were on for that, like the premiere episode or whatever, and then you haven't been on since then. But anyway, I mean, I guess we'll just get into it right now. What are your general thoughts on this season so far? What are you thinking?
Surely by far the best cast. Probably okay. I wouldn't say best cast. I would probably say top tier cast out of the BB Can series. This season, having Arisa being part of like executive production, like she came out with the cast, more diversity, more. I would say more involvement. Production value can be fixed, but obviously COVID is basically hindering that. But everything else, like the cast is perfect. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, this is definitely shaping up to be a really strong season for sure. But we're just going to get into this week overall, which there's so much to talk about. This is truly one of, I think, the most eventful weeks in a Big Brother season in quite a bit. Everything that goes down this week is insane. I can't believe things happened in the way that they did, and I'm very excited to get right into it. So, of course, we're going to start off with Sunday's events, where we find out that before the vote, Latoya actually wanted the vote to not be unanimous, she was trying to flip the vote, and she wanted Beth and Kiefer to vote out Josh while everyone else was going to vote out Rohan, and this immediately set off alarms for Rohan. He knew that people wanted him out. He was very annoyed that everyone else was giving him clarity that they were trying to keep him and things like that, and I think this really like started the beginning of just the end for Latoya here, because Rohan says like if they let Latoya get through with this, she's going to have full control of the game. And we've talked about this for like a couple weeks now, Allie, but like it's pretty clear that Latoya, she's someone that has not made a secret that she's been controlling the votes. She has been trying to, do what she can to make sure things go her way. And I think that really was kind of like her big, like probably the beginning of the end for her this week. Sean, you have anything to say about that?
No, I definitely agree. Coming into this game, watching like Latoya's like the way that she even talks to people, the way that her postures in this game makes it like hard for the other like the outsiders in this game to actually want to work with her. Yeah. There are people like Victoria that we can talk later about who tried aligning with her. Yeah. But they shut her out. Latoya is a big player, a big personality. She played hard with trying to flip a vote and her still being like ignorant about it and still wanting it after people came there saying it's not going to work was definitely a big deal, because if she had stayed calm, she would have probably still been in the game.
Right. I think it's really just it's really just the idea of playing too hard, too fast, trying to control things and not be subtle about it, make it very obvious that you're doing it. I think that's really what ended up fucking her over. And it didn't even work out because obviously Josh was voted out unanimously and Latoya's like, okay, this isn't really going to work out. But what really plants the seed is that Kiefer tries to push this narrative to Kyle that Victoria is trying to play both sides of the house. And he's basically trying to do this as a way to deflect away from the Sunsetters because he knows the Sunsetters is obvious. Everyone knows that the Sunsetters are working together. They really have not done a good job of hiding this at all. And he's trying to do what he can to throw Victoria under the bus. And this is why she ultimately became the swing vote of the last vote. And it's also the reason that Rohan is really still there because she realizes, Kiefer's doing this because he wants to paint her as playing the middle, which is very much not the case. And I thought they did a really good job of setting up this conflict between Kiefer and Victoria and ultimately why she made the decision that she really did overall. And I think we can all agree, like Kiefer, out of everyone played this week, just the absolute worst. Like Kiefer's a really fun player, but I just don't really know where his head is at. What did you guys think of this move overall with him trying to frame Victoria?
I thought it was kind of stupid for him. Yeah. He's a very nice person. I can see it, well, from what we can tell. But his game is very confusing. He kind of gives me Beth vibes in that way because they're both very confusing players.
Yeah.
I like that move. I see why he tried doing it.
Right.
Kiefer knows that he's the bottom of that alliance. So like trying to do something to, get a footing, get a good grip back in his own game. Strategically, was it good for him? No. Did he tell the right person? No. If he had probably went to like Tera, that would have probably been different because Tera is not in either alliances.
I think Tera is definitely someone that, like, she's playing that middle, like, really well right now, especially this week. We really did see it. And I think this could have definitely worked out for him. I think Kiefer ultimately, like, he's doing the right things, but he's doing it in the wrong way, is really what's going on with him. So we get to the HOH comp, and Rohan intentionally throws the comp. I thought this was a really good move for him. He was just on the block. People see him as, like, this big threat. This is the way he really does take the heat off himself. He knows that he's not going to be in danger and things like that. So I thought it was definitely a smart move for him to, throw this comp and not try to make himself look like this bigger threat. And Victoria ultimately does pull out the win here. And it's just, again, it's like poetic justice because they set up the already the friction between Kiefer and Victoria so well and how there clearly is something that is, dividing between her and Latoya, and just the fact that she won HOH, it's just absolute perfection in that way. And she makes it very clear right off the bat that, like, Rohan, Kyle, Breydon, Austin, they're all going to be safe. And we also find out that she's gotten very close with Breydon and Austin, and they have this alliance known as the Bossy Glossies, I think she called it. And I think this is a really strong alliance for sure. I think this is definitely going to end up helping her in the end, especially for someone like Breydon, who is kind of invisible right now. He's not really on anyone's radar. I think this is really going to help her. What do you guys think of this 3-person alliance overall?
I love it so much. They're honestly became like my top 3 at the moment, with like Victoria and Austin kind of alternating. And Breydon is just kind of there. Like, he's not really, literally, like you said, he's not on anyone's radar.
Pretty much.
He'll probably just he could be an easy, like, float to the final 2. But I do think this alliance could dominate, hopefully. Hopefully they don't betray each other. I know Austin and Breydon want to put with each other, but I can see them going pretty far.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there's definitely a very good chance for those three to get far for sure, especially with the way Victoria plays this week, because she gives us probably one of the most dominant HOHs we've seen in a very long time within Big Brother, because she makes it very clear like who her targets are going to be. Very early on, she says, my target is people in the Sunsetters, and we have this moment where Kyle ends up accusing Kiefer basically of trying to flip, and he at first denies it, and Kyle and Rohan call him out on it, saying that I'm just doing it because I want to play Big Brother. And this is really where we start to see the confusion in Kiefer's game. On one hand, he's saying I want to play Big Brother, but then he goes to Victoria and literally tells her to put him on the block because he feels like he's disappointing his friends and family. And I don't know, maybe there's something I'm not seeing, but just Sean, tell me the logic here, please. Like what is Kiefer's logic in anything he did here?
So he is wishy-washy. I can agree to that. He is wishy-washy. He is also playing such an emotional game so early, where at this point people should just start manipulating him and let him just try to grab him as possible. Because when he had asked Victoria to put him up, I think that was a signed deal. Like, listen, I'm letting you put me up. This is an open gate for you to do what you want on your HOH. And that's what she did. Eventually we find out that Kiefer ended up not being Victoria's target. And Kiefer did do what Victoria wanted, was to mope and pretend that he's the one going home. And I'm pretty sure he did that really well. But yeah, like that's the logic I think behind that, what he did with that. Yeah, though, like.
Yeah, I just feel like the way he's playing right now, it's just not going to get him very far. Like, obviously, we can't talk about what ended up happening, but, like, I just don't think he's going to get very far in this game. I think he definitely, Kiefer, I respect him as a person, but in terms of Big Brother, I don't think he's that good at it, and he has not really proven me otherwise yet, and I think that definitely is going to be the fatal flaw in his game overall. Now, going back to the Sunsetters, like I said, they're terrified this week, understandably. And Latoya thinks that, if we would have just voted together, again, just trying to control the vote, doing everything she can to make sure, like, they could have saved Josh and things like that. And it's like, woulda, shoulda, coulda. This is something that you could have done, but at the same time, it's like there was just no possible way this was going to happen because you weren't going to get everyone on board to do that. Tina, especially this week, keeps talking about, like, I don't want to be controlled. I want to do what I want to do. And I think Tina's someone that's in an amazing spot right now. She talks about later on this week how she's really kind of trying to play the middle and ride the line and stick close to Tera. And I think the way that Tina is playing is probably one of the most impressive in the house. I think she definitely is going to end up getting far this season.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
I was kind of iffy with her pre-season because I didn't think she would make it super far, but now I can honestly see her winning if she makes it to the end because she's doing really well and no one's targeting her.
Yeah, I think so too. I think definitely she is in a really, really strong position at the moment. So basically, we then see Beth tries to throw Rohan and Kyle as options to Victoria. And it's like, read the room. Like, this just is not going to happen. It was obvious that Victoria was not ever going to put them up. And Victoria said that, says in her DR, she wants people to underestimate her. She's been playing up how she's just really sweet and fun and bubbly, but in reality, she is really smart and she wants to make a big move this week. She doesn't want to be this is the opposite of Austin's HOH, where she does want to make a big move. She does want to get blood in her hands. She does want to build that resume early. And she absolutely did that this week. And I think, again, it just really shows how the Sunsetters are just not really handling this week very well. It's clear that they've been caught, but it's clear that for Victoria, they don't really know who she's allied with. They don't really know who to throw out as possible targets. And Kyle and Ro were just never going to happen overall.
Yeah, definitely. I personally like the way that she executed her week.
Yeah.
The only thing for me is that her making these big moves and telling everyone this is what I want to do.
Right.
I don't know when I don't know when you're going to talk about the POV moment, but like,
we'll get to that soon.
I'll say my piece there. But like the way that she was able to maneuver her conversations in such a calm, passionate way,
yes,
made me even like her even more. And yeah, like she's handling each individual and adapting to their personality.
Yeah,
and not having to like rub people the wrong way.
Yeah, I think so too, definitely. I think that, she just did a really great job this week. And so she then has this confrontation with Latoya where, she makes it clear to her, like, your name has gone out. And Latoya says, like, she doesn't want to kiss her ass this week. But then at the same time, she would not she makes it clear, like, I'm not going to put you up if I was in your position. And Latoya then throws Breydon under the bus. And again, this is like the worst possible name you could have thrown to Victoria, because Victoria then uses this as a way not to throw Breydon on the bus, but to see who would actually be going for him. And Latoya tells her to think with her brain and not just based on her emotions. And I think she absolutely is using her brain here, because again, at the end of the day, Latoya's been controlling the last 2 votes. She really was trying to make a vote flip happen. And, if Victoria had not come in and just been like, I don't want to do that, that flip could have potentially taken place. And everything would have gone differently. So it really just comes down to the fact that Victoria is just a lot smarter than that. She's not going to be easily manipulated by someone like Latoya, who clearly wants to play that way. She wants to tell everyone what to do, and that's not at all the Victoria game. And Latoya says the Sunsetters, like, she would not have been her target this week, and they want to try to present to her like alternate targets. But again, it's obvious that that's not really going to happen. Jed and Ty are trying to potentially get her to put someone up, but it, of course, doesn't really work out. She does end up putting up Kiefer and Latoya, and I think this was absolutely the best possible strategy for her. I don't really think there was anything else she should have done here, and I think in terms of the nominations, like, she played that all really well.
Yeah, definitely. I do have to disagree. Yes, she's smart, but I think she also played it with some emotion to it. I mean, let's be honest. She was like, okay, it's a coincidence that you're here now that I'm HOH, when I've been trying all week, last week, even the first week, to come to y'all and ask for an alliance, and you guys push me out. And you expect me to do something that I don't want to do, and you're now in my HOH room, all 4 of them, not Kiefer, Toya, Jedson, Ty, and Beth, like, they're here trying to kiss her ass, trying to do something else that they want to benefit their game and not her game. So I feel like she's also putting some emotion to it because she was left out of these alliances.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. There definitely is like emotion, I think, that we're seeing in there for sure. And I also very much agree with Ian's comment here. Like, the Sunsetters did not live up to their name, very much in the dark for sure. Like, that's very much the way they were playing this week.
They were more the Sunrisers.
Honestly, like, they just, again, everything they did, I think they did the right things. They just did not present the right names. And I think that's really what ended up going south for them overall this week. Because that's everything to talk about really on Sunday. We get into Wednesday, and Victoria makes it very clear that her target is in fact Latoya, but she wants everyone to think that it's Kiefer. And Kiefer knows that he's really messed up here. Latoya thinks first, but Latoya knows that she could potentially be the target. She says that, she talks to Kiefer, says like he's made his family and friends proud and he isn't going to go down without a fight. And it's interesting that Latoya didn't think that thought that she could potentially be the target, but doesn't really end up campaigning here. She doesn't really do much of anything. And at first it makes sense because of the fact that, she wants someone to win the veto. She wants to win that veto. She thinks there's a way to potentially get out of it, but she really does not do a good job of taking the target off herself. She gets into this fight with Kyle, and it's this whole thing where she basically says that, his name is being said by the Sunsetters. Kiefer is accusing Kyle of being too aggressive in that way, and then Rohan says he's tired of like hearing his name constantly, and Latoya ends up jumping into it and says that Kyle's the one lying and kissing everyone's ass, and then Rohan gets mad at her for trying to flip the vote. And I think this was definitely the worst thing for her to possibly do. When you're on the block, you want to try to make as few waves as possible, and I think this definitely was not her finest hour for
I
sure.
feel like that was her breaking point that sent her home. Sadly, like I did like her and I was enjoying her, but yeah, she just really fucked up this week.
No, definitely. I think that was the downfall with both Kiefer and Toya. Like, you want to be loyal to your alliance, but at the end of the day, like, it is an individual game. And as much as, like, let's just say let's say Victoria's target was Kiefer, like, Kiefer wasn't campaigning. Toya could have been campaigning to each and every one of them just to keep her in the game, and she would have probably stayed if Victoria's target was Kiefer, but obviously it wasn't. And then back to what I said earlier, like where Victoria wanted Kiefer to be all mopey, upset that he's the target, that he's going home. He hit that shit well. He performed well. Him telling Austin and Breydon that Victoria wanted him to do that, I cackled because they already knew. Like, Kiefer did the right thing. You know, he didn't need to campaign because he knew at the end of the day he was safe.
Yeah, definitely. He did what he needed to do, I think, because he knew in his mind, like, I'm probably not the target. It doesn't make sense for me to be the target. But again, Victoria still wants to push the narrative that he very much is. And so we then get this moment with Tina and Tera where they talk about that they didn't like anything about how that confrontation played out. And Tera says, like, the vote flip brought everyone together. As I said, she's really kind of trying to play the middle in that way, and we very much do see that. Now, Rohan, he doesn't really know how he didn't, knows he didn't handle this situation well. And he tries to hash it out with Kiefer, but Kiefer isn't really willing to listen. He just kind of pushes him away, says he's done with him. And again, I understand it's a divided house, but I don't think this was the right call at all. I think definitely he should have maybe tried to hash it out, and he didn't really, because we then get a similar scene with like Kyle and Latoya, and it seems like, they're trying to apologize, and Latoya says that she didn't really feel she did anything wrong. And again, I think they really just didn't do a great job with trying to stay loyal to those people. With trying to make amends with those people to potentially take the target off themselves. And I know what you're laughing at because I do see Marcelo's comment here. Kroger, I don't know if he knew.
He didn't know he was safe, but Victoria insuading him to do what she wants basically hinted like, you're not the target, you're not going home, like, just do what you do and you're good.
I think even though she didn't like explicitly say like, you're the pawn, he could tell like, I'm feeling like a pawn, like the way that she played him this week is how you typically play a pawn. You tell the pawn that like, I want you to go in veto, I want you to gun hard for it and things like that. But then you also make it clear like, you are here because I want the other person to go, and I don't think someone's going to go, I don't think that you would get the votes against this person. So I do think that she definitely played it very well, differently than how most HOHs play it. But again, it really speaks to how she played this week.
Good. And then this is a good game on Kiefer's moment, because if Kiefer was actually thinking and putting puzzle pieces together, he would have just told he would have just told the whole Sunsetters like, I'm a pawn. You're going home, Latoya. Like, then that whole different scenario and gameplay would have been different. I'm pretty sure moving forward, when we talk about the veto, I'm going to say my piece there, my thoughts on that, and say what I think would have happened if he had like said like, I'm pretty sure I'm the pawn and you're the target, Latoya.
Yeah, I think definitely that whole scenario plays out very differently. But the other thing to talk about this week, because we didn't really get a segment about it until Wednesday's episode, which I found interesting. I thought they'd talk about on Sunday, but there is, of course, another alliance known as the Oddballs with Victoria, Austin, Breydon, Rohan, and Kyle. And I think this alliance is way better than it's going to turn out way better than the Sunsetters really did. I think the Sunsetters was one of those things where they tried it, they got caught, and they're already splitting apart. But we already know that those three of Victoria, Austin and Breydon are really close. And then Kyle's done a really good job of like consoling Victoria when he needs to, and Rohan's been there for them. So what do you guys think about this alliance? Because I think, at least for like from what I'm seeing, like this is going to be way more successful than what we've gotten from the Sunsetters.
Oh, I love the oddballs. When I found out they were going to be a thing, I was just really happy because Kyle actually has been surprising me. He's not my favorite either, but
same.
He hasn't been doing too bad. At least he's there, not Ethan.
Yeah, thank God.
And then Rohan, he's actually doing really well. I feel he's definitely got like this villainous vibe. And then the other three are just like some of my favorites. So this alliance, I think they can really dominate the game.
Mm-hmm.
This alliance gives me Chanel version of Faute.
Yes.
Because they're the ones who are in the outs. They know they were the ones in the outs. Like they're the only person I didn't expect to be in the oddballs is Austin, because pretty girl, high maintenance type of gal. Like I figured that Sunsetters will grab her in, but obviously they didn't. But yeah, this whole Sunsetters versus oddballs gives me Faute versus level 6 Chanel version, because obviously that's Walmart version. But
I can see it.
Yeah, I could definitely see it, but I do think at least right now we can already say like they're more successful than Faute was, because Faute did not make. Faute, they haven't turned on their own alliance like Faute did. So I think definitely
that's why I said Chanel version, because they're way better than Faute.
Right. Yeah, I think they definitely have a chance to do really well here for sure. And I'm feeling pretty good about them, especially, Austin literally talks about in Sunday that like she doesn't get good vibes from Beth. She knows that Beth is being really fake. She knows that Beth is like really playing her in that way. And I think, I think it's really good like game awareness on her part. And I saw that.
Gosh, period.
Yes.
No, I definitely agree, Kevin. Like Beth.
Yeah.
Beth, yeah. Austin, that's the one thing that you should definitely know going into like a game of Big Brother is having game awareness.
Yes, that one, Marcelo.
Not that. But no, like the way that she sees Beth's gameplay and no one else is good for her game, because Beth is playing the fuck out of Jed and Tyson, and no one sees it.
Yeah.
Other than
and I want to go to William's comment here, where he talks about like, what do you think about Beth in this situation? No one was really too sus of her until every single time Latoya, Ty, and Jed tried and campaigned to Beth. She was always tagging along, and yeah, I think we definitely do see that. Like she's trying to act like she's like so loyal to the oddballs, to the Sunsetters and things like that, but it's really not helping her, because at the end of the day, I think she is kind of like.
I kind of feel like Beth, everyone's going to catch on to Beth, and she's going to be targeted soon. Like Jed and Ty will probably go for her soon once they find out that she's being fake to them.
Yeah, she just isn't being loyal to anyone. And I don't think it's really working.
She's just trying to like flirt and just do her thing and have fun.
Yeah.
No, literally, like when Victoria, like this is a good situation. Like when Jed and Tyson were like, should us four go to the HOH room and talk to Victoria? When I was watching the episode, I was like, so four as in Kiefer, Latoya, Jed, and Tyson, because Kiefer and Toya are noms, and they're aligned with each other. But then they were like Beth, and then Victoria goes, then who? Oh, well, this is. I'll talk about that. This is like after veto, but
yes,
I'm going ahead of time, but I have a lot to say after veto.
Oh no, yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Fine.
Yeah, we're definitely getting there, because so we get to the actual veto ceremony, and very quickly we see that Jed, Ty, and Austin are all picked to play in this veto. And obviously the Sunsetters are ecstatic about this. They think they can pull off this win and that they're going to pull the other off and everything's going to be great. But for Victoria, this is really a huge disadvantage for her, because she did not really consider this possibility of like what's going to happen if, there's a pawn. She did not think that, if I have to take down a nominee and I have to, replace someone, who's it really going to be? She's really kind of like at a crossroads there and not really knowing what's going to happen. So we get to the veto. It's this big like crossword puzzle where everyone has to like spell out words. And ultimately Jed ends up winning this veto. And Victoria says to the oddballs that if Jed uses this veto, Ty is likely going to go up. This is what she is planning to do. And we then get this whole big moment. I think the big discussion of this episode is when she does try to talk Jed and Ty potentially out of doing this. She doesn't want them to use this veto, and she makes this really interesting deal that like that Ty, not only is she going to put up Ty, but he is her only possible option at this point. And she frames it in a way that I think is a legitimately really good argument that if I put anyone else up, Latoya is going to try to flip the vote. And she feels like if she puts up Ty, Latoya won't flip the vote and, Kiefer's going to go out. She's aware that Latoya, Ty, and Jed are really close. That's a very tight 3. And, she does what she can to try to potentially talk them out of using it. And I can't believe she really pulled this off. I can't believe that it actually ended up working for her in the way that she did. But Sean, I know you have a lot of opinions on this situation, so I guess we'll just really get into it.
First of all, like the way that she was so gung-ho, she was like, well, do you want me to put Beth? And literally pointed at Beth. She's like, well, do you want me to point Beth? Is this what you want to do? Beth is going up if you use the veto.
Right.
But the fact that they were saying, oh, Victoria's threatening them. First of all, she wasn't threatening them. She literally gave them 2 options. And she knew whether if Beth goes up there, Beth will go home over Kiefer or vice versa. Because
they just didn't like her options.
They were just she played that so well though.
And 2, that was the most strategical move for Victoria because she knows how close Jed and Ty are. And if she puts up Ty, like Jed has to pick, and obviously we know where Jed would go, but this surprisingly ends up working out. I thought it was really crazy how Wednesday's episode ended without us getting the veto ceremony. I kind of liked that. I thought that was really interesting. We don't really see that happen a lot. The only other time I can think of that happening is in Big Brother 19, but we don't talk about that season.
Not that
season.
I kind of like that they left us with a cliffhanger.
I like that too because I'm pretty sure as of right now, with like COVID happening, they want to get more viewership.
Yes.
So they spread they continued the viewer ceremony till Thursday because of the fact that like a lot of shit has gone down. This is probably like the best season so far with quarantine.
So good.
Us BB fans watching. So like keeping that cliffhanger there, like it's like what the fuck is he gonna do? Because if I have not watched feeds, because I already knew what was happening because I was watching feeds. If I wasn't watching feeds, I would have been shaking. Like, what is he doing? Is Victoria's plan going to work? Is he going to use it? Like, is Kiefer going to go home if Victoria puts up Ty? Like, that's why I liked why they did that. I didn't like it because I already knew what happened. But,
I mean, again, it's one of those things where like you really didn't know what he was going to do, and he does ultimately decide to not use the veto, and it's not because of the fact that like he didn't want to use it. He was basically like fear-mongered into doing it. Like it was 100% like him basically just being afraid that Ty would go up, and this was never actually going to happen. Like I'm pretty sure Victoria said like I was never going to put up Ty, and just did that as a way to threaten Jed, and somehow it actually worked. And I can't believe she actually pulled this off. I honestly don't know how she ended up pulling this off. And I think just flawless gameplay on her end.
She low-key manipulated that so well.
She did. I wouldn't say well. She did do it. She executed. Okay, well, actually, let me take that back. She did it well. She executed really good. But moving forward for Victoria's game, she's going to have to work harder on her social game to make sure she is not the number 1 target in the house. But if people continue to keep fighting with each other and she just stays in the background, I think she will make it far because
hopefully
she is my winner pick. And if she doesn't win,
Oh yeah.
Despite other things, the controversies that happen in the week.
Yeah, I agree.
Emma Victoria Stan.
Yeah. Oh, you froze for like a second there.
I did.
Yeah. I'm glad you know.
But yeah, like despite of the shit that's the shit she said, I'm still a Victoria stan.
Same.
Yeah, definitely. I think, especially with the way she played this week, I mean, you have to give her some credit there for sure. But I think the other big thing to really discuss is the way Latoya ends up playing this out, because it's not the way you really would expect her to. Not only does Latoya feel she still has the votes to stay, knowing that she is the target, she actively doesn't want to campaign against Kiefer. She's like, oh, Kiefer is trying to do this because he doesn't want to disappoint like his family and friends and things like that, and I don't want to bullshit people, and that part I do understand. But what I don't understand is her not really trying to campaign and not really doing much to really save herself here. I mean, she tells Austin that she generally likes her in the house, but says that she was sincere with everything she tried to do. And I just think in general, like she just did not handle this all that great. But what do you guys think of the way Latoya, really handled all of this?
I didn't mind her campaign to Austin, but deep down it seemed genuine. But I don't know. It kind of seemed like she was just like, oh, if you keep me, I probably still will put you up on the block if I win. Like, I kind of feel like she was kind of being fake towards Austin a little bit.
I mean, for me, she literally said in her DR, like, I'm not going to campaign against Kiefer, but I want to go around and make sure people know where I stand with them. And this is where I know what she did wrong. First of all, she should have went first to all the Sunsetters.
Yes.
And made sure they're all equally aligned with each other, because obviously Tina doesn't feel like she's a part of this, and she's
not really in that alliance anymore,
leaving the alliance. And she should have went to Tina first, and the last person that she should talk to was Jed and Ty, because she knows they're good with her because they made a final 3 in the beginning of this game. Going to Austin, I feel like Austin was just like her way out. I don't know if she thought Austin was like the swing vote, but obviously she wasn't. I have to agree with Allie. It may look genuine deep down, but I thought it was fake.
It did.
Even with Kyle going to her apologizing, I still thought that was fake. She tried, but didn't try hard enough, because she's all wrapped up thinking that she was staying either way. Which. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm surprised she didn't catch on, because she's a fucking cop.
Right.
Cops have this strong
they do.
Instincts.
Awareness.
Yes, cops have awareness. Their instincts are usually right, but her instincts in the game is by far what she didn't expect. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, definitely. I think the other thing that really did hurt her again is just the fact that the Sunsetters are not really on the same page here. Jed and Ty definitely want to go for Kiefer, and Beth does too. But again, like you said, Tina is really trying to steer away, and just in general, they needed to be more on the same page. And I think what really again ended up hurting her is her being so adamant last week about we have to do what I say, we have to vote this specific way. It got a lot of people to do their own thing this week, and I think it's kind of her fault that it turned out that way, because it didn't need to be that way. I think there was a way she could have potentially gone out of this if she just did things differently. But the other big thing is that Victoria does talk about how she really feels that Ty and Jed, they're not playing very well. They're really not playing very well in her book. And she really doesn't trust any of them at the moment. And she really hopes that they can just kind of chip away at that side. And I don't really disagree with her. I mean, we saw last week, like Jed especially, a very emotional player. He hears his name goes out once. He wants to call a whole full-on house meeting for it for like really no reason at all. And I think that's definitely something that is going to be the downfall of both of their games. I really do feel that as much as Latoya, again, really overplayed her hand, she was kind of the glue that kept that trio together. And I don't know if they're going to be as strong as just a duo.
I don't think they're going to be a strong duo.
Yeah.
Because gameplay-wise, yes, I agree. Latoya was the glue. Emotional-wise, they're not going to go far because they literally, if watching that, when they both entered the house, they were like, okay, bros, that's it. Like, they connected on such an emotional level, but on a gameplay level, they may seem buff and all, but, I don't think they'll have the right game moves to be controlled. I feel like they're the type of men who would have power and be chaotic with it.
Yeah, I think so too.
I kind of think Tina thinks that the Sunsetters are kind of controlling, so that's why she's probably trying to like move away from them.
Oh yeah,
and just like work with the other side because they are not as controlling as her.
Yeah, the Oddballs is organic, I think is the best way to sum it up. Like the Oddballs is something that's happening organically. They're working together, whereas the Sunsetters was a very forced alliance that just wasn't really going to work out.
Yeah, like, I don't know. That alliance just, I like them at first, but they honestly just don't mesh in a game-wise.
Yeah. Especially when it comes to alliances organically, this is why I like the Oddballs more, is because it's organically made.
Yeah.
But also it's not made by an already made alliance, because the trio of Jed, Ty, and Latoya, they became a three, and then they spoke who should be like in the Sunsetters. That I feel like that's not really obviously that's not organic, but like that's the downfall, because there was already an in-made alliance. That was the downfall of that alliance, whereas Oddball is an organic alliance, and then the three of Victoria, Bray, and Austin was made.
Yeah.
Like, that's more organic because Victoria doesn't like to be used. Tina doesn't like to be told what to do. Like, if you're in an alliance of...
Yeah, nobody's like controlling it. They're all just kind of doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And I think it very much, works for them. Whereas the Sunsetters, again, it was very clear that like Latoya wanted to run this alliance. She wanted to be the head of this alliance, and it just wasn't going to work out. People felt like they were being controlled, and they low-key were. And that's exactly why things ended up going the way they did for her, because we get to the actual vote, and it's the closest vote yet. It's anything but unanimous. It's 6-3. I think the people that saved her were Jed, Ty, and Beth, correct? Yeah, the three of them did end up saving her. And Latoya not only is really taken aback by how blindsided she was, but she only hugs the people that stay loyal to her. She skips over the oddballs entirely. She wants nothing to really do with them very much at all. What she doesn't know is that one of the people she hugged, though, was one of the people that voted her out. In Tera, which I thought was very interesting. But we get to her actual interview, and she talks about how like she doesn't claim this was a real blindside to her, which I don't really buy that. I feel like definitely, even if she knew that she was the target, she thought that she was going to stay. She thought she had the votes to stay. I don't really buy that she's like, oh, this wasn't a real blindside, and that Kiefer didn't make sense to be your target. That part I understand, but then she says that like she didn't really campaign too much because she wanted to keep it real, not make fake deals, which again, I do understand. I think she needed to do more, because you always have to have the thought in the back of your mind that like, maybe things aren't going to go my way. Maybe I don't have the votes to stay. And she didn't really do that great of a job with it, I think.
I think what she should have done was go against her morals and actually kiss ass, make deals.
Mhm.
Because I see myself a little bit with Latoya. Like, I'm the person, like, when I like to control things when I play, like, these online games.
Oh yeah.
But,
Oh yeah.
like, fuck y'all.
No.
But, no, I'm just joking. Like, she should have kissed so much ass to not, like, the oddballs, but to Tina and Tera, because they're the ones who decided to vote together. I'm trying to do the math. 6 minus 2 is 4. Yeah, so they were basically the swing, because in last night's episode we saw them talking and trying to figure out the vote, and that's when Tina told Tera about the Sunsetters. But I'm shook that she didn't already knew. So they were doing pros and cons between keeping Kiefer, keeping Latoya. But then that's when it segued into Tina saying, I don't like being controlled. I want to do what's best for my game. And the only person that she trusts is Tera. I knew from there it was either the edit that Big Brother's doing, that making the audience think that she's evicting Kiefer, or that whole perception.
Right.
But yeah, Toya should have definitely talked to those two, because those two were the swing votes at the end of the day.
Yeah, she should have.
Yeah, they very much were. I mean, Tina literally said, like, she didn't like the way that it was split and things like that, and she was really worried, like, where the vote was going to go, and ultimately she chose to stick with where the oddballs were going, because, again, she just feels more comfortable with that group than she does. And at that point, I mean, we're at a point in the game where, if you're casting a vote, you're really choosing a side, because it is very much a split house at the moment, and Tina, I think, very much chose to go with the oddballs this week. And I think that's kind of where she needs to stick, because I think that's just where things are going to be for the moment. Although it might not be for all that long, because we get to the HOH comp, and it's very interesting. It's a shuffleboard comp, and immediately Kiefer gets a score of 10. Like, it happens very quickly, and we're like, holy shit, is there anyone that's going to potentially top that? Austin also gets a 10, and we're like, oh my god, what's going to end up happening here? Comes down to Austin and Kiefer. Kiefer gets the 9, and Austin ends up getting a score of 7, and Kiefer ends up being the new HOH here, which I would not have expected. I would not have foreseen this outcome very much at all. And again, we're not going to talk spoilers, but I don't really know what he's going to do. I really don't know what he's going to do. And that's something that definitely has me very excited, is that I feel like Kiefer's going to be a really unpredictable HOH overall. I don't think he's going to be, as dominant of an HOH as like Victoria was this week, but I think definitely we're in for a really interesting week for sure, because he knows he's at the bottom of that alliance of the Sunsetters. So he doesn't necessarily need to do what they want him to do. It's, really just kind of his game at this point. But then at the same time, it's like, does he feel good with the other people? I'm very excited to see where this HOH is going to go.
I'm actually really excited because, like, I think it's going to be interesting. He's kind of a wild card, so he'll, like, literally
very much so.
He'll literally put up whoever. But I'm excited to find out. And Austin's definitely someone to look out for, because she almost won that again.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
And I died of laughter when Arisa was like, Tina, you lost your disc.
And yes, I do agree, Marcelo. Let's go Kroger. Let's go Kroger.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
No, sorry, Marcelo. No, but I definitely agree with Kevin. There's a lot of questions with Kiefer's HOH. What would Kiefer do? Will Kiefer stick with the Sunsetters? Do we even know if Austin threw the HOH to Kiefer? That's a big question. Like, who knows what Kiefer's going to do?
It's possible.
Could have.
Like,
maybe.
If you watch live feeds, I would talk about it here, but obviously it's not a live feeds type of podcast.
Yes.
But all the questions I have given are already answered watching live feeds, but that's a good question to look at if you're not watching feeds, is what do you think Kiefer's going to do? Because that's a good, like, conversation to go with. Because of his stance in the house. But honestly, good for him. Like, from being on the block twice in a row, first captain being safe to now safe again.
Right.
Like,
he's had a wild arc. He really has.
He has a story. Because he was the one person I thought was going to be first boot this season, not going to lie.
Oh, I did too. You can go all the way back to our cast thoughts and things like that. And like I immediately said, like Kiefer gives me first boot vibes. He's loud, he's annoying, and I don't think he's gonna get far.
I literally had to feel. I thought Kiefer or Josh were gonna be first boot.
Yeah. And I mean, we weren't too far off about Josh, but Kiefer certainly is not going to be first boot. And I don't know what he's going to end up doing this week, nor do I think he is he going to end up, in a good spot at the end of this week. I don't know. I do know for sure that I don't think Victoria is at risk. I really don't. I think she comes out of this week as HOH. I think she's good. I think definitely she needs to be careful. I do agree that she needs to be careful, but I don't think she's going up this week. I really don't.
No, I feel like, in my opinion, it would either be one of the three that voted him out, or Kylo
Ren.
Cairo.
Yeah.
Cairo Ren.
I don't know. For me, it's unpredictable because Kiefer does have loose ends. Whereas that's why I agree with you, Kevin. I don't think Victoria's going to go up because Victoria was so straightforward and honest with Kiefer. And Kiefer was honest back to Victoria that they were able to mend things. And even, you don't have to nominate someone if they nominated you. If I had nominated Kevin and Kevin was HOH, he doesn't have to nominate me if I was straight up with him because all the things that I, Okay. Anyways, Victoria's plan went through. Kiefer is safe. And I don't know. I really don't know what Kiefer's going to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the most successful HOH of the season, I think, on her part with where she ended up, with how things ended up playing out for her. But yeah, that's really all there is to talk about in terms of this week, because obviously we don't talk live feeds on this podcast. If you do, though, Sean, I think you have some things to plug in terms of in live feed podcasts and things like that. So I will head over to you and let you do that.
Yes. Okay. First of all, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, That Pinoy Kid. Twitch, That Pinoy Kid. Oh, no, fuck. Cut the cams! Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, That Pinoy K. Twitch, That Pinoy Kid.
Yes.
You will see me as a regular on Silent Podcast. You should definitely give them a follow. Look at them. They also cover Big Brother. They also cover a lot of other reality TV shows.
Yes.
And you should watch one of my segments that I did last Tuesday with Sarah Yao. Big Brother Canada Hangouts. We did a few games. We talked about live feeds. So check that out and check the rest of their stuff out.
Yes, definitely. We always support Silent Podcasts over here for sure. A lot of great stuff going on that channel. Lots of great reality TV coverage. So if you're a fan of that stuff, definitely head over to Silent Podcasts, where they are anything but silent, of course. Anyways, guys, that's really it for our review of this week of Big Brother Canada. There really isn't too much else to really talk about. As always, guys, comment down below. Let us know what you guys think of this week. Thank you to everyone in the chat. This is easily the most active chat we have had so far. Yeah. So that is always really great to see.
How many viewers do we have?
We've had quite a bit. We've had at least 3. 5 to 8 people per while watching.
I remember that one where we had 0.
We did have, it was the first episode, But as always, next week we will be back with a totally new guest. Don't know who it's going to be yet because we have so many people. We're going to You will be back eventually, Sean. We're going to put it on a wheel and randomize it, and you guys will know by the end of this week for sure. And yes, Marcelo, we love your commentary, and we're excited.
Thank you, Marcelo. Thank you. I was about to fix your.
Yes, we're excited to for you to be on Big Brother Canada. I'm glad that you're a Twitch this season and you're going to be invaded into the house. I'm excited to see how that's going to go. But anyways, guys, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We will see you guys in our next video, and we will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.
Bye.